a little faster for the Warrior, but for the most part, gonna be a lot of random generation and seeing what Priest can really put together to stop that Warrior. Because one thing that's a little bit interesting about a matchup of this dynamic is it's a little bit difficult to start to anticipate how Fatigue's gonna work. But the one thing I can't help but acknowledge is that there is a Soulbound Ash Tongue and a Shield Slam with the Silas Dark Moon. So I think Eddie is gonna immediately try to see if he can plan for a combo. But if that doesn't work, let's say that gets Mind Render or Luciad away, then he's just going to have to go with the Cthulhu plan and grind his opponent out. Which I don't mind. See, I think one thing that people might not understand about Control Warriors, it actually tries to end the game. It's not like Priest. Priest tries to bore you to death. And it's often very successful at it. But Warrior ends up trying to crush you with force in the late stages of the game. A lot of power that's backed up by Cthulhu or some of the other big top end stuff. So I'm looking forward to see if Eddie can find a way to end it quickly that maybe catches Muzzy out of surprise and sends us to game 5.
Yeah, but if all else fails, Eddie should have a significant advantage in Fatigue. Starts the game with 4 extra cards. Not even running much card draw himself. And also has the South Sea Scoundrel to accelerate Muzzy's draw. Alright, so that's even further ahead of Fatigue. I guess, sure. Sword and Board. It's more armor.
Yeah, more armor is good. And the sooner we can get the Ash Tongue into a situation where we can explode the Priest, the better, I suppose, for the Warriors' game plan. This Synthetic Veilweaver feels like it needs to be dealt with, but I don't feel like from Eddie's side he wants to Shield Slam this. Is it just a coerce? Oh wow, that doesn't feel good.
What now?
You can Shield Slam it. Coerce can... You're not guaranteed to have armor, but you are guaranteed to have cards that can combo Coerce. Rally could be quite good.
Oof. Gets more value generation off the Synthetic Veilweaver and the Wand Maker.
This is honestly what Muzzy needs to do, right? He needs to keep presenting boards, keep forcing removal out, make things awkward for Eddie. Because that's the one limiting factor for Eddie's deck is... he doesn't have like the random resource generation that Priest does, right? The ability to generate more cards with what you have. He's not playing War Cash.
What now?
He's playing Venomous Scorpids, but that's about it. Whereas Muzzy's playing Sethics, playing Renews, playing Palm Readings, playing Venomous Scorpids, right? There's a much greater ability for Muzzy to craft a specific game plan than there is for Eddie to craft a specific game plan at any point in the game. If Eddie's able to go like, you know, keep the board under control at all stages, utilize his removal efficiently in the absolute, you know, fatigue state of the game, yes, he has an advantage. But a lot can happen between now and then. Eddie could be forced to draw cards at certain stages of the game with Outrider's Axe, and that could equalize things.
Break your body.
Hoist might gives another opportunity to utilize with Synthetic Veilweaver down the road. From Muzzy's end, can just coin out Light Shower Elemental, present a 6/6. Continue to threaten Eddie, making it uncomfortable for him to rack up that armor. I'll see Scoundrel.
Okay. Not a way to overdraw Muzzy at this stage, but again, still accelerates Muzzy's fatigue and can provide Eddie with additional resources.
Oh. Interesting. A pass. I think a lot of people would consider playing the Scoundrel in that position, TJ. Why pass?
Maybe feels like there's going to be an opportunity for him to overdraw. He doesn't know what he's looking for. I honestly don't know. Wants to be able to drop it on in a situation where he has just an empty board or can push 5 damage with it. Knows that he has situational removal in hand, like Brawl, that he wants to be able to use the following turn. He doesn't want Southsea Scoundrel to be caught up in it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think in his mind, he has to be more efficient with his cards and use his life as a resource. It doesn't matter if he has the armor now or later. There's plenty of ways to build it up. And I think that from Eddie, he has to try to fight the amount of value generation from Muzzy. This is, I think, his 8th card that he's like discovering or finding a way to generate back into his hand.
Yeah.
Wow. Finds an opportunity for Renew again. Shadow Form is actually quite
nice
good because it's going to start whittling away at Eddie's armor count consistently, even if he doesn't have anything to do.
It's also going to be a way to have more efficient ways to deal with the small boards that he's going to make, but hey, boards nonetheless. Oh, okay. This feels like too many resources, honestly.
I mean, this is a lot of resources for sure. He's got 3
Okay.
Fortitude comes into hand. All right.
All right.
And also just hero power to close out the turn too. Muzzy's got lots of options. He's dead.
He's dead. More value.
So now we've crossed the threshold of, there's more cards being generated than cards drawn from Muzzy at this point. And Praise is just overflowing with the amount of resources that's able to get. Flash Heal the cycle, just for 1 card. Another palm reading.
Palm reading's insane.
Right, because you can use Condemn at the very end of your turn to dump a card and make sure that you're not you're not going to burn one.
Yeah.
Well, I guess in this case you could do that and hero power instead.
Yeah, then in a shadow form. It also knocks off a lot of the armor. Okay. Muzzy ends the turn with more cards than he started with, stronger resource than he started with, and better minions than he started with.
So
Great turn.
Oh, interesting. He ends up picking Draconic Studies. I was thinking Wand Maker because it does end up giving like the hand of Muzzy is so full that it doesn't really matter, and then gives him the opportunity of maybe picking up another Shield Slam or something that he feels a lot more comfortable using to activate his Coerce, which seems to be something that he'd been setting up of how he wants to utilize. Muzzy finds Power Infusion. Not that useful.
So Nixia is just a board in a box. Brightwing has that indescribable quality that makes a star.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it could just be any legendary, it almost feels like Brightwing is like this weird missing link in the Priest evolution chain, where like Brightwing !!!!, and you just land to like a random spot in the game that's like very hard to tell, but you can say, oh, it was a priest game, and you're like, ah, because we got like Brightwing off Draconic Studies.
We are friends now.
Yes. It's in the box.
Like so.
Okay.
I
Copies your left and
What?
right cards. Could be really good. Could be incredibly lackluster. It doesn't have much use for a very long time. Also,
Yeah.
Muzzy ends his turn at 10 cards. So this will be just a free card for Eddie.
Yeah, but also, does it really matter what card he's burning? Muzzy has so much generation. There's still 2 Sethic Veilweavers. At the current pace that he's going at, it doesn't matter at all. He's burning the card. Now, it could matter, right? Because that ends up being a situation for Muzzy where he's deeper in fatigue. He lost one of his top-end cards. Burning N'Zoth, God of the Deep.
It's a board
Yeah.
refill. This is also a difficult choice because it's impossible to tell which one of these he's going to need more. Alex Draza is probably the most defensive option. Onyx Mage Scribe, a little bit greedy, but could provide him with a little bit more removal resources. Okay, Wand Maker.
He has a multitude of ways of picking apart the South Sea Scoundrel. Could use any number of his removal tools. Now at a very reasonable one spell generation per targeted spell that he uses on a minion because of Sethic Veilweaver. Finds Rally. It's back. Scorpid and the Wandmaker. No Sethic Veilweaver.
Focus Will, you can just cycle onto something, give it more health.
Condemn Hero Power clears off the Scoundrel.
True, it's also true.
Slowly but surely, Muzzy's also kind of putting Warrior into a situation where they have to make up some kind of way to destroy the board, because Muzzy's applying a significant amount of pressure now. There's 11 damage represented on the board. Ace doesn't have a clear way to deal with it. Forget the Shield Slam Ash Tongue Slayer with the Silas combination. We're not even get to that point at this pace. Is it time to Lord Barav and Rancor? You still can't even deal with the Sethic Veilweaver.
I would kill it on the...
Oh yeah, the Lord Barov. Correct.
But that's a big piece of removal used. I mean, Eddie's essentially out of removal except a single target shield slam now that he has armor. Picks up Blade Storm. Okay, that's incredibly valuable.
Yes. Nice.
Guide my hand.
Can you go like Zyrella Zai here to get a Renew and a Draconic Studies back?
Does he have hand?
Yeah, I mean, he would be playing 2 cards and then getting 2 other cards.
Guide my hand.
Well, yeah, and then kind of stuck in a situation where...
He could just focus Will one of it. He could just focus Will the Venomous Scorpion.
Yeah, I suppose so. You're supposed so. I feel like...
Those are like 2 of the highest value cards.
Yeah.
And so if he wants to squeeze out value, that's the way to do it, I think.
Right.
It's still a board, right? It's a 1/6 Venomous Scorpion without Poisonous versus a 4/4 and a 5/3.
You don't take the walks.
Dyrella's not going to have much use other than that either. I don't know.
Conch Studies finds on a Mage Scribe. Additional value, additional armor. Okay, so Eddie has faded the aggression and now has the opportunity to set up. Oh man, now we have to go over like what the N'Zoth can potentially get back for Eddie.
It's just a Scorpion and a South
Scoundrel.
Yeah.
But like he can set up the Alexstrasza.
Consider the Alexstrasza and get an Alexstrasza back, yeah.
Right.
I wonder.
Is that valuable though? Like trying to jimmy your way into getting a big N'Zoth versus a priest.
I must choose.
Like he doesn't need to pressure, he just needs to kill everything.
Maybe in his mind, the N'Zoth not being super powerful also doesn't exactly make, crazy hysteria plays or like soul mirror opportunities. Still a reasonable amount of stats being put out for 9 mana.
Guide my hand.
Hysteria should clear up most of this. Obviously, it could just hit the Venomous Scorpion and die, or hit the wall, make a Venomous Scorpion. Double Holy Nova? Okay, Zyrella, just keep pushing. Alright, I like this. It empties cards from your hand that are harder to use. Yeah, this is smart.
Very good spot by Muzzy. Corsair Cash finds Outrider's Axe. Okay, now we're kind of cooking, right?
You can finally start drawing more cards. He can sort of afford to. Because even if he's even in fatigue, Cthulhu is just like the ultimate I win card.
Right. Against Priest has no way to stop the armor, at least naturally.
This has to be Zai now, right? A palm reading and a renew? Like a build a hand in a box.
Yeah, but so is the Honor's Make Scribe.
I guess.
Power Infusion. Auspicious Spirits.
Because Zai is a battle cry, not a outcast, right? Yeah, it's a battle cry.
Yes. Another renew.
Just more minions and just chipping away with the hero power as well. Good.
Eddie has the ability to remove this Honest Mage Scribe with the Alexstrasza and either the Weapon Sling or Minefield. I guess you would Minefield first before that. I think in his mind, he doesn't have a lot of armor to protect, so Alexstrasza could also be used just to get the 8/8 and draw a card with the Outrider's Axe. Downside, you're starting to reduce yourself to 15 HP. Your opponent has a kind of like the Hunter Hero Power equivalent. You have to deal 2 damage, but it's also got the upside of targeting minions. It feels like you might be opening yourself up to aggressive paths. I wonder if Eddie's also contemplating some other play of just passing here. And maybe in his mind doesn't feel like he has to play anything.
Yeah, but if he doesn't play anything this turn, and then Muzzy just hero powers and buffs this on the Onyx Mage Scribe, then he's in the same situation the next turn with no new information, and so would realize that he would have to remove it anyway. This presents an 8/8 as well, which is not always easy for priest to remove, especially by itself. You usually don't want to use a soul mirror on it. Shadow or Death is not naturally played in many priest decks, but can be discovered. And wait.
Oh, okay. Finds its own 8/8. Can use Wave of Apathy to, basically stunt the amount of damage that's being dealt by the Alexstrasza. Hysteria as well, and very likely that Alexstrasza just trades into the Nosdormu and you're done with that minion.
No time.
Seems good to me.
Yes, but how?
Yep.
Boom. You can kind of see Eddie mulling over all these different possibilities. Finds Kargoth, Blade Fist.
Another way to shuffle card into the deck.
What now?
Anti-fatigue again. Also has the upside of when you draw it, you can gain 10 armor.
Yeah, and I think that maybe in Eddie's mind, probably has to consider shield slamming here. He doesn't have a reliable way to deal with this Nosdormu. Could go for a brawl.
With the armor vendor?
Yeah, and Muzzy has committed a lot of resources. He's no longer holding 10 cards. He's holding 6. So maybe it doesn't feel nearly as bad, and he could go for a 1 and 3 to win the brawl.
Armor! Lightly use armor!
Okay, it's a shield slam.
The nameless one could be very interesting if Eddie doesn't trade off his Kargoth Blade Fist right away. I doubt we'll ever be in a situation where that happens, though. He's going to take immediate value from it, knowing that full well that the nameless one is in the list. The Muzzy. Oh, he's going to copy it. Copies the
You see Eddie's like, what does this do? It's another Sethic. It's another nameless one. Gets more cards, TJ. Devouring Plague. Very clean removal of the armor vendor and pressure. Also, Condemned does the same thing.
Yeah.
No time.
Apotheosis. Another targeted spell.
True. Can buff the Samura.
Get another card.
Now Eddie
Bulwark
can draw a card first.
Yeah. Bulwark is kind of a dead draw. Well, not a dead draw because it buys him some time, but like, I guess time is his game plan, so not a dead draw.
What now?
Because the game plan is just to run Muzzy out of resources, and the Bulwark is helping him go in the right direction, right?
Sorry,
by
what?
buying more time.
Did you just say what I think you said? That he's going to try to run a priest out of resources?
Yes.
What now?
TJ, please.
I mean, Muzzy's deck in general has much less resources than what we normally see from Priest, right? He doesn't play Cthulhu, he doesn't play Onyx Mage Scribe naturally.
And yet
he still
has burned
all
through
of that.
2 or 3 cards and has still played 45 cards, so, like equivalent so far,
Yeah.
with generating more. Right? He still has more resource generation in his hand. I see what you're saying, though. I see what you're saying. It's lighter of a priest compared to others, but still, as every priest seems to encounter struggles with hand space.
too many things to do.
Man, he's shaking his head. Just like, yeah, just I can't keep efficiently removing these. Muzzy's also doing the thing again, just stacking the power of a minion repeatedly and making it difficult to deal with. Idol of Yashirash.
Get the deck. There's a Sethic
Also
left
just
in the
flash heal,
deck.
focused well. Yeah.
I know the Yashiraj actually might be really good. Yeah. It's another renew. Oh my gosh.
One more time. Power infusion again. A rally? Had a lot of Sethics die. Oh!
I condemn you all!
Power with Fortitude. 820 Blade Master Samuro. Eddie has to find a way to brawl this or kill it. That is not the piece of Cthulhu that he needs.
Nope. He's got to take a... Well, he can throw in the Soulbound Ashtongue now, because Soulbound Ashtongue is essentially useless. He's used both of his shield slams, so I think it's Armor Vendor, Soulbound, Brawl, and just hope that the Samuro doesn't live.
You want to draw first? Swing at the... No, you actually want this Epic Veil Weaver to potentially survive the brawl.
Ooh.
Actually, you know what you could do?
He could Bulwark.
You could just Bulwark.
Yeah, or, I mean, he's
Bulwark
got
and chill.
still got 2 natural Blade Storms in the deck. Also has Coerce. Magtheridon Brawl.
Therodon.
All right, so now can Bulwark.
Problem solved.
Armor! Lightly used armor!
Okay.
They're away from Muzzy to easily take out that Bulwark.
Into hero power. Once a turn.
All right, Holy Nova no longer hits the enemy character.
Yeah.
Yes, but how?
All right, then maybe...
Guide my hand.
Maybe we just remove this. Like Devouring Plague, yep. And then Hero Power Face. And just chill. Alternatively, we can renew for something.
Yeah, I think he just wants the hand space. Okay, there's Blade Storm.
Blade Storm. Wow. I mean, there's nothing else to do besides play Blade Storm here. I cannot feel like we can justify any other play besides that. 20 damage for 3 mana.
And gets rid of the armor too from Muzzy's life total, which means that now Cthulhu will start to become a threat as Muzzy approaches fatigue.
This world holds many.
Oh,
Mind Render?
Oh,
Mind Render.
Mind Render Lucia.
I guess that gives Eddie some information. Oh. Eddie can take a 10-10 and
Yeah.
give him a 1-4.
Drunk Slayer. And Shield Slam for 8 damage.
What now?
No, it doesn't have the Shield Slam, unfortunately. So, what would you do instead of this? He could hold for...
McTheron, Heart of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
You do want to dump Cthulhu pieces when you can.
Cthulhu pieces. That's kind of another thought that I had, because that is one way for Muzzy to disrupt that combo.
I must choose.
McTheron, Heart of Cthulhu looks really good to me here.
Pain means little to me now.
Oh, and the Silas.
Adventure and excitement await.
Astonishing.
Wait, what? It's a circle.
But not the end.
Eddie? What happened, bro? He didn't even armor.
Yes, but how?
Wow. Wow. I don't know what to say about that one, except
Come closer.
that was not good. Silences. Muzzy now has pretty firm control over it, and Eddie just lost an opportunity to take that, or rather just give the Ash Tongue right back. This is actually a significant amount of damage that can be done too, because he can hero power and then remove the last hit of the Ash Tongue and then trade into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. Just takes 1 minute off the board, I guess, for Brawl. That was an ugly turn. That was real ugly.
That was not great. Still not out of it. In fact, very much has a pretty good setup here with the McTherodon, and there's not really a lot in Muzzy's hand that actually can challenge McTherodon except the Ysera Dream.
Yeah. He
So
can
now
dig for it.
McTherodon gets summoned, but Muzzy does not have the removal to deal with this 12-12 immediately.
Oh,
Just kidding. Are we at full Cthulhu pieces, by the way? I think we just saw that.
no.
Yes, that's right. So Cthulhu has been shuffled in, so 1 out of 7 draws. Meaning that Muzzy has to be mindful of potentially dying off of a Cthulhu from the top of the deck.
Also, some big threats outside of Cthulhu that are left in Eddie's deck. Sarah, Kargath Prime.
Time may pass, but the dream is eternal.
Well, the only reasonable play for Muzzy to set up to try to play around Cthulhu. Cthulhu is drawn the very next card. Eddie can do the same exact thing. McTherodon and Bladestorm. Setting up another Cthulhu scenario.
I wonder.
I mean, he kind of has
Also
to.
McTherodon Brawl.
He's going to die if he doesn't. Yeah, McTherodon Brawl,
he
but
has
then
a
if
couple
one of
ways
the
he can go
1/3
about it.
survives, then he's in trouble.
I wonder.
Right.
Because then he
has two
can't
options.
Cthulhu again next turn.
Right. The main option would be to just Bladestorm and then save McTherodon. The other is to play McTherodon and Bladestorm. The other would be to rope it down, do some kind of weird series of plays again, then accidentally forget the hero power and put himself in a pretty precarious situation. But I don't think Eddie would ever do something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like we would ever call any situation like that we find other players in pulling an Eddie, right? We would never do that. Not in a million years.
True. Now, and Eddie's made some really great plays. It just feels characteristics of him where he just has like these pretty big brain series of plays and lines, and then sometimes like a catastrophic series of events where it potentially costs him or it's just a straight up throw. As he finds has Soul Mirror, and then from the Soul Mirror can play the Laughing Sister to just buffer against the Cthulhu. Now note, Muzzy has the Mindrender to Lucia in hand. That's a Kargoth Prime. After a Soul Mirror was played, by the way. Can have the Nameless one.
Can go...
DJ.
Yeah,
Nameless one Nightmare.
Nameless one Nightmare or just Nameless one Shadow or Death? Nameless one
The armor.
Nightmare Light Shower Elemental? Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting.
So the Light Shower Elemental would lose some of its value. You could go Nameless one Sethic Nightmare.
You can trust me.
Interesting. These are all really interesting combinations. I was also thinking about if there's any initiation play here, but I don't think so. Whoa! What a combo. TJ, you wonder what was the Nameless one for? Look at this. Gift of Luminance.
Raised Dead. It's got to be Raised Dead, right? Oh, Gift of Luminance on the Kargath.
I don't know. Well, it's gonna die. I was thinking the Sethic Veil Weaver. Because the Nightmare guarantees that it dies next turn, right?
Yeah. Ooh, another Gift.
Gosh. Whoa.
So Muzzy's last two cards are... Oh, geez. I hate this game. It's an Apotheosis is one of them. And then either a Raised Dead or a Condemn is the other one. I honestly don't know. Wait,
Wow.
or unless he's had something shuffled into the deck so far this game. Could be anything. I don't know. One's an Apotheosis. That's all I know. And Eddie has... Oh, here we go. I can show you Eddie's. It's nice and clean. Ysera, Shield Maiden, Outrider's Axe, Coerce.
All right. So assuming Outrider's Axe can just go face 3 times, that puts Muzzy at theoretical 31 life with 1 armor remaining. But Fatigue comes into play. And we have seen Eddie get into the situation. Muzzy's not out of the woods, but we will begin our descent soon. This is your captain speaking. Please avoid standing up. Put your seatbelts up. Buckle up. Eddie just drops the Cthulhu. He is going for it. The pressure begins now. And Muzzy has the opportunity to just take the board now. I think more importantly, Muzzy wanted to stop the Sethic Veil Weavers from going off, and he just didn't have enough with the Minefield. I guess he did with the Minefield and Rancor. Either way, he's put stuff into motion that he can't take back now.
Yeah, he doesn't want to find himself in a situation where he never finds a good turn to play Cthulhu. Right?
Right.
Because he's going to assume at this point that Muzzy has at least a couple minions that are quite large that can just get there. I wonder if Muzzy plays this one like a little bit slow and just goes like Hero Power Initiation to get a Cthulhu.
The path is clear for the worthy.
Okay, going to cash in on some
It's
healing.
Luminance. Oh yeah, I mean, this is a full heal, TJ.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty much.
Cash in on some healing and as a secondary effect, also empty some hand space in case this Raised Dead finds Sethic or Onyx Mage Scribe.
Right, or another
at
light
this
shower
point,
elemental, like
or sure, light shower elemental, whatever. At this, I don't think he wants light shower elemental. Maybe at a certain point, it will stop really negating fatigue, because you'll be taking so much. But Eddie does have a Ysera left, and that's like the big thing here to note.
I wonder.
a small ray of hope. But it's starting to shine a little bit brighter for Muzzy. With each passing turn, I do not see a clearer winning line here from Eddie. I see stall tactics. And if Muzzy finds even more healing through Raised Dead, Apotheosis. And here's another thing. He can just initiation his own.
He can initiation it. Oh my god, that's funny. He raised it first.
That's not just funny. That's game winning, TJ.
Another set.
Okay.
And an 8-8.
Right. Kind of for the range of what cards Eddie has remaining. Muzzy also can just pressure.
To linear thinking.
Nozdormu. In almost a ironic fashion that two Nozdormus have hit the board. And yet the game and the series has gone the distance. And yet we're still in game 4. Eddie fights for tempo. Ysera is one of the last hurdles that Muzzy has to clear in this marathon race to see if he can survive to day number 3, keep his hopes alive. Going to this week, we weren't sure if Muzzy would join us for the next season. Now that possibility grows. Howard Fortitude, Shadow Word Death.
Be gone.
Okay. Renew?
A renew?
It still needs to be big
I need to
because as it stands, Eddie has a lead in fatigue as well as like a lead in just pure minions. These aren't fantastic. I guess Powered Fortitude is something. Power Infusion. All of these will rely on him sticking a minion.
No time.
This would bring it out of range of Ysera Awakens. That's important. Another Shadow Form. That's burst damage. You could Shadow Form. You could Hero Power, then Shadow Form, then Hero Power again for 4 burst.
I'm almost out of cards.
Okay. Last card for Eddie is an Outrider's Axe. Again, he knows the Coerce sort of has to be saved for the 8-8. Because he also has one last Draconic Studies.
Not really much that Eddie has available to try to fight back, but he has to try here. Stick whatever he can. Hope that it's enough.
And he has to kill the
Now that Muzzy's holding on to
Celtic
everything possible for removal options.
Yeah. So Ysera Awakens and then... Wow, he's going full removal. Okay.
Okay, so Muzzy, he held on to things like Initiation for a moment like this, where he can just Hero Power and convert it to his side.
I mean, this is the biggest minion he'll ever get, because he should know exactly what's left. None of these are, like, value generators, but Onyxia, if he can find a way to force out the Brawl, Onyxia is fantastic.
Yeah, Nixia is really strong. I mean, just to threaten to close the game. I think board space is not something that's heavily ingrained into his mind, but anything that he can stick can help win that fatigue battle. Also, don't hate Dragon Ball Skystalker because it's resilient against Brawl and Coerce.
Yes, but how? No time.
Picks the cheapest option, the Circus Amalgam.
Job done.
Flips the Emerald Drake. And Eddie's on his last card draw of his deck.
Yep. And I mean, at this point, you can kind of just count removal for Eddie, right? Because Muzzy's not far enough behind the fatigue to where it'll matter. He also has Apotheosis. So Muzzy just needs to make sure that he has one minion for each piece of removal that Eddie has left. And it's just Brawl and Coerce. So he just needs to play one minion to challenge. He also has an answer to the minions that Eddie would play because he knows that Shield Maiden Laughing Sister are last. And Laughing Sister, he just could, put a minion in the way and it's not going to kill anything. Shield Maiden, he can condemn plus hero power. So I think Muzzy, unless I'm mistaken, should have this locked because all he has to do is stick one minion that doesn't get removed and it will negate the fatigue with the Apotheosis and Power Infusion. And Eddie has no idea what's in Muzzy's hand. Literally no idea. The only card he knows is that Mind Render Lucy is there. That's it.
I can take the hit.
Well, he knows about the Nosdormu because he dreamed it back.
Oh, okay, yeah, Nosdormu as well, sure.
So I think he's trying to think about ways that he can find a way to answer it with a Brawl. This is so sketchy because it feels like he has no actual aggressive plan and now has to win that Brawl, the Laughing Sister. And if he doesn't, I mean, even if he does,
Muzzy just plays a Circus Amalgam and puts a Power Infusion on it, and that's it. Actually, no, it's not that simple. Because then Eddie could Nightmare it?
Sort of, but then the Nightmare, I mean, he can't Nightmare his Laughing Sister.
No, he could Nightmare the Circus Amalgam so it would die over 2 turns if he thinks he's far enough ahead of fatigue, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now Apotheosis just seals the deal. Has to be. I think Muzzy's got it. That's going to end for a victory here for Muzzy. Eddie's Control Warrior is not going to be enough. Oh, Muzzy thinking about maybe throwing in the Power Infusion while he's at it.
I think he can stop here. He knows what the last 3 cards are. It's just a matter of solving the puzzle. He knows that if he just keeps this as is, Eddie will have to go for a 50-50 Brawl.
Yeah. Alternatively, what if you just Mind Render Lucia?
Guide my hand.
Circus Amalgam Mind Render Lucia?
Yep. I think that's 100% a game-winning line. I think they can't.
Oh yeah, no, it is. It is. It's a 2-turn lethal setup. Yeah, because he would push 10 this turn, and Eddie would not have anything to do. Right? He couldn't even kill anything with Shadow Form. And then next turn he has 15 on board, 17, 1 fatigue.
That's right. And Eddie sees what's remaining, and there's nothing that he can do about it. And after a grueling 4-game, 2-hour series, Muzzy has finally gotten to the goal line, just ready to cross over at the moment. Eddie is
preparing for the pop-off. He went for his headphones. He's preparing for the pop-off.
Oh, here we go. A legendary battle indeed between 2 rivals in the Americas over the course of years. And I guess at least for one more day, Muzzy gets the ability to call Eddie a bottom feeder like he did. Jokingly, of course, back in the day. In a match that is a battle of titans, Muzzy comes out up top, a chest pump. Muzzy advances to day 3 of the final week of the regular season to fight yet again in the top 4. A position that in the past he's been used to, but this season it feels like it's a rare commodity. But man, was that a rough back and forth. It felt like it was going to be a situation where the Warrior had that inevitability, but really happy to see that Muzzy's able to at least survive this long. Recapping some of the moments here. Eddie really tried to piece together the shield slam with the armor up, but when that went down the drain, you can see the Eddie train, the wheels started coming off a little bit. As he was not really well equipped to deal with Priest in the late game, especially with the armor scaling like this situation.
Yeah, that is a note to anybody out there that